Well, so this is today. I'm not even dressed yet. I'm not even sure what time it is. It's almost 8 o'clock. So I am going to be very late starting this morning. And so as you can see, we have a little bit of drizzle. More than a little bit of drizzle. We got quite a bit of drizzle. Kind of damp out there. A little bit cool. But I'm sure after a little bit of walking, I'm going to warm up right away. Stayed in a wonderful place the last night. The place is called Rural Casa Maramandas or something like that. The food was wonderful. They have a beautiful little sitting room out in front. I was sitting out there doing some stuff, trying to have not written in my journal, trying to get some stuff organized, and ran into a guy from Ireland who lives in Canada, and we talked almost all night. We had a great dinner, just a fabulous meal, and then this morning we had breakfast, so I got to get my stuff, and up there's Mr. Rooster. So I got to get my stuff together. Hey, one thing I do want to mention, I forgot to mention last night, I was so tired when I put together the video. Yesterday I showed a video of a guy 79 years old walking the Camino. That guy was trucking. That guy was moving along. He outpaced me. I had started before he did. We left the Donatello area, and I had started before he did, and I had a good head start, and he caught up to me. And I tried keeping pace with him, but after a while I gave up. And boy, that guy took off, and I haven't seen him since. So 79 years old, and he was just moving right along. A true inspiration, a true inspiration. If he could do it, I'm gonna have no problem doing it. But I am gonna be doing it in the rain today. So folks, let's get our stuff together. Let's get out there. Let's get this first show on the road, because it isn't gonna get any easier if we end up there in the dark. But I think today is a much shorter day. I think it's maybe about 11 miles, maybe 12. Before I get into Bilbao, then I'll have to find my hotel. And then tomorrow's a rest day, so I want to kind of explore Bilbao, maybe get to the Guggenheim. But before we get that we have a few hills between us and Bilbao and quite a bit of rain. But Buen Camino, let's get going. Well, everybody needs their breakfast, and our little sheepy sheep here are having theirs. Just wandering, what a life, you know, you wander around the hills just eating grass, and every once in a while they give you a haircut. Not a bad life. Although they are standing out in the rain. What wet wool. It must smell especially bad after the rain. Well, here we go. Oh, don't bob me. Here we go. Somehow I got to get across that freeway and up that road. We'll do it. Let's go, folks. Good morning, Mr. Doggy. How are you this morning? How are you? Are you a good boy? Are you a good boy? I bet you're a good boy. Okay, bye-bye, doggy. Just a note, you see these chickens here? They're the ones who gave me my eggs for breakfast. So the eggs, and we had some nice liqueur after dinner, a digestive, if you will. And we had ham, and a lot of the food was grown right here on this nice little place. Now, there's a nasty hill to come up, but if you're on the Del Norte and you want a great place to stay, this Rural Casa, and this is the name of the place, Miamendi, Rural Casa Miamendi. Folks, you gotta stay here if you could get in, because it's wonderful. The woman who runs this place is very sweet, very nice. There's a wonderful meal. Last night, after a long day, we sat and we drank and we ate, and it was just so relaxing. And they have a lot of sheep nearby, and they have a cute little puppy doggy. Yes, she does. Yes, she's seen me. And then they have the chicken for the breakfast and the great thing, but I need to get going. So you got to come up the hill, and it's a little bit off the the Camino, but it's certainly worth the trip. So there's a tip to all my Camino pilgrims. Yes, it was. It was a good tip, wasn't it? Thank you. Bye. So folks, I just want to share something real quick here. You see this hill? I'm not sure if it really comes across in the video how steep it is. And I'm going to pan around to the other side here. Equally steep. I'm about halfway down. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm walking down and I've already had a couple of slips. It's it's been raining the past couple days. We're going to get more rain today, and I've had a couple of slips already this morning. Bring trekking poles. Trekking poles are extraordinarily important. I slipped earlier, and if I didn't have my trekking poles right now, my Camino would have ended. Even with the trekking poles, turned my knee a little bit. Not so much that it even hurts at this point, but it did at that. It did a couple of minutes ago, but that's over with. But the idea is, the trekking poles saved me, and not just on this particular hill, but many times so far. And I'm only a week into the Camino, so bring trekking poles. I find them to be very important. I see a lot of people walking without them. A lot of people think they don't need them. All well and good, but if you want any advice from this old peregrino, bring trekking poles, use them, especially on these hills. Another thing, I never try to take these hills straight on the way up or straight down on the way down. What I do is I traverse, so I walk from side to side, flattening the hills. It looks silly, I feel silly when I'm doing it, and it lengthens the number of steps, obviously. For every one step that you take going straight down or straight up, you're taking 4. However, less likely to slip, and it's less difficult. So, just one tip from one guy walking the Camino. You could choose to ignore or choose to follow, but that's what I've discovered. Anyways, we're not getting any closer to Bilbao, and we need to get to Bilbao today, so I'm saying goodbye until our next video. As you can see, I'm walking by a rather well-traveled highway, and not necessarily a country road or a path through a beautiful forest. And that's one of the things about the Camino, is that at times you're walking through cities, along freeways, highway overpasses. This morning it's because the place I stayed at was well off the Camino, as I'd mentioned before, but well worth it. But that's not why I'm making this video right now. The reason I'm making the video now is I almost made a wrong turn back there, and a local person, Basque person, Spanish person, a local man and his son who was driving to school stopped me and said, no, you're going the wrong way. Let me tell you something. It's not the first time it happened. However, one of the things I notice about the people in this area is they're tremendously nice. Very, very nice people. Now, if you asked me a month ago even, before I started this walk, what I thought of Spain was, oh, the food is very good, the wine is excellent, the countryside beautiful, but the people, not so much. The people I'd met, the Spanish people I'd met on the Francais, did not strike me as especially nice. In fact, I would say that a large percentage, and I'm not necessarily saying the majority, but a large percentage were outright unpleasant. On the Camino del Norte, it's not the case at all. So today is day 7 on the trail. Day 9 here in Spain. And I'll tell you something. the people in the Basque region, they're the best. I mean, you guys are great. I hope somebody from this region is looking at this, and I want you to tell your friends that there's at least one American that thinks you're pretty gosh darn great people. We got a plane overhead. But they're very nice people. In fact, what happened was when he corrected me, I showed him my map and I showed him what I was doing, and he showed me the mistake I had made. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm American. We know everything, don't we? And he laughed because he saw the obvious joke in that. But like I said, the people here in the Basque region, great people, enjoying my time immensely, meeting all these wonderful people, not just here, not just the local natives, but all the people on the Camino. And that might be the subject of tonight's meditation. In fact, I'm sure it will be. So listen to that after you listen to this. But I need to put this down and start walking, because walking and talking is putting me out of breath. And by the way, if you notice, looks like the rain's broken up. So I think I may change out of my rain gear here soon and back to my normal hiking attire. I know you're all fascinated by the fashion that the Stoic pilgrim is wearing on the Camino. Isn't this a great day? Isn't it great to be alive? Are we having fun? Because I sure am. Buen Camino, my friends. Buen Camino. Oh, I gotta turn this off. Oh, I'm so silly. So one of the things I like about the Camino is to visit the churches and to see the old buildings and how they were built and just the customs and all that. And one of the things I've noticed is that more so here than other parts of Spain or even other parts of Europe, is that I see that they have these covered areas. And this seems to be very common on the Del Norte. Now, it's all of 6 days that I've been on here, but it seems very common that they have these covered areas. And I guess maybe when they have an overflow crowd for Mass, maybe people waiting to go to Mass go to these. I don't know, but if you look at how old these beams are, you know? Look at the ancientness of this. I mean, when I look at things like this, I look at the stones and the carved wood and all that, all the things these stones must have seen. And I wonder, like that stone right there. Look at that stone. It's been there for a while. Or these paving stones. They've been here for a long time. What hand carved those? What hand pulled them from the earth and shaped them? What hands laid them down and fit them into the space here? What feet walked over these stones? And what have they witnessed? Look at these doors. The doors to a church where people pray. How many happy moments have couples passed through this door to their weddings, where they become one, where they join with the person that they have loved and start a life together. And when that life ends, how many funerals have been through here? How many people have walked through these doors behind a casket and walked through these doors and said goodbye to the people that they married, and then eventually took them over to here, to the graveyard where they were laid to rest. Ah, if these walls could talk, huh? What would they tell us? What stories do they have to say? I don't know, folks. This is something else. This is part of the Camino. To see where we fit in this grand scheme of things. To understand how fleeting life is and how precious our time on this earth is and how precious the time we have with those that we loved. All of this from visiting a church. I wish the doors were open. I showed pictures of the church in Guernica, and I happened to speak with the priest there. And one of the things I've noticed in Spanish churches is in the United States they have crosses or crucifixes at the front of the church, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about the differences between crosses and crucifixes in the future. But I noticed that in most of the churches in Spain they don't have that. They have these reliefs carved of wood with statues and things like that, but not a crucifix. Whereas in the United States we have many crucifixes, and that's typically what you see in the front of a church. And I asked the priest where his was, and I said, I made that note, and he said, well, we do normally have a crucifix in front of this church, and I thought that was kind of interesting, because it is unusual for Spain. But he said that the crucifix had fallen and had broken, and I wish I had pursued that story a little bit more, but I don't speak Spanish well, and his English was better than my Spanish, but not as good as to carry out a conversation. So on to Bilbao, and we'll talk some more. Or as somebody I was speaking to yesterday called it, Bilbao. We're off to Bilbao. See you later. So these are some women I met along the way, and they stopped and they were talking to me. They were saying hello. They're very pleasant, and I'd like them to say hello. Can you say hello?
Hello.
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 Okay.
No sé si he dicho bien. No.
Okay. Well, yesterday I said, into every life a little rain must fall. And I got a lot more than just a little rain. Oh my goodness. It was coming down. I thought I was going to have to start swimming. The rain was so bad. But thank God for gas stations. You know that? Because they have a nice big covering. And I just stood underneath here until it passed. And I just checked my phone to find out I made a wrong turn. Oh boy, making a wrong turn is bad enough when it's a nice day, but boy, when it's raining. Okay, so I got to go back. Fortunately, it isn't that far, and I do know where I need to turn to set myself right, and I'm going to do that. And hopefully I'll cover this very short distance. It's about 9 miles from my starting point. I'll cover this very short distance sometime by midnight tonight. If it keeps on raining like this and I keep on making wrong turns, I only have until the 1st of July to make it to Santiago. So I'm hoping to make it to Bilbao by tonight. But we'll see. I can't swim very well, so we'll see if I have to start swimming. If I have to start swimming, I'm going to leave my pack behind. Anyways, it's off to Bilbao, or Bilbao, as some may call it. Ciao.